Welcome back to You Belong in the Room, a podcast from PowerShip. PowerShip exists to help women participate more confidently in the conversations and decisions shaping their lives. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult a qualified professional for your specific circumstances. And today I am very lucky to be here with Annick Charbonneau to have a conversation about capital, influence, entrepreneurship, and what changes when women go from participating financially to actually directing money and opportunity. Women are increasingly controlling wealth, which is amazing, but many still don't feel comfortable stepping into investment. So let's talk more about ownership and decision-making and how we can all do better. I'm so excited to be here with you, Annick, today. I feel like you're the perfect example of why this podcast exists because not long ago, we didn't know each other.
True.
We were introduced, told we were going to like each other. And once we spoke, it was like the connection. Yeah, it was so easy. And now I don't want to stop talking to you. But not only that, I want to share a conversation more broadly. So as many people as possible can benefit from your experience and insight. So Annick, let's start by just tell me a bit about, or let's share your journey. How did you get to where you are today?
So, well, first of all, thank you for having me today. It's lovely just to have this conversation with you. I just feel that we're going to continue what we've started and hopefully there's some insights that other people can just sort of jump into. I think one of the most defining factors in my life was actually sad. When I was 5 years old, my father passed away from cancer. And I was raised by a single mother with the amazing luck that she was a very highly educated person. And today she's 81 years old. So at that time, it was quite rare that women were educated with a master's degree.
Wow.
So she always held big jobs. And we didn't have much, but we certainly had enough. And so she managed to just raise me, to send me to, good schools and to pay for my synchronized swimming lessons. And so I always grew up knowing that was a possible thing, to be a financially independent woman. And for me, I think there was just no other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't start off in venture capital investing.
No.
Right?
No.
Where did you start?
So back from college, my first job ever was in technology at Matrox Graphics. And I loved it. So I really just kind of fell into technology very early on and always held one way or another tech jobs. My first few jobs were not paying very much, but at one point I got into Climax Technologies, and they made me this commissions package where I would make 8% on machines that I was selling, and I think the management thought I would sell 1 or 2 a year, and I was selling 2 a month.
Wow.
And so I was 25 years old, making some really nice commission checks. And funny enough, at that time, my boyfriend, now my husband, was a medical student. So I was paying the bills and I was paying for the restaurants and the apartment. And from there, we went and lived in San Francisco. And that was just a big aha moment. When I was in San Francisco, not only did I discover, technology on a more global scale. I mean, it was the beginning of Amazon and eBay and PayPal. And when I came back from San Francisco, I thought, my gosh, there is so much to do, especially in Quebec and Canada, in technology. Somebody has to do it. And that's how I started my first startup.
Wow.
And so that first startup was one of the first e-commerce platforms in Canada. And I operated that for 5 years. Then I had my second venture, which was a city discovery app. Exited that in 2019. And sometimes you just need a bit of luck. What happened in 2020 was a pandemic. And so I sold the city discovery app platform right before the pandemic. And so I kind of was frustrated by the fact that I had tried to raise capital. I just thought it was tough. And I felt it was tougher for me. And I didn't know if it was just in my head or if it was like any connection to reality. So I looked up, I did a bit of research to finally get to realize that only 3% of the venture capital dollars go to female-founded teams. And I thought, okay, we have a problem here because now today it's at least 30% of new tech companies that are co-founded by at least one woman. So I said, why is the gap? And I thought maybe that explains why it was so much tougher for me to raise capital. And I decided to tackle this problem. So I like to say that Accelia Capital, which is a venture capital fund, we raised $60 million to invest in innovative companies owned or led by women.
Phenomenal.
And I like to say this is my third startup.
If you could point to a few things that made you capable at such a young age of thinking of ideas and going for it, really being an entrepreneur, I mean, all along.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question because I think I was always an intrapreneur before I became an entrepreneur.
Oh, describe that.
But I didn't know I had that. So what's funny is that now I look at, Megan Dobson or Concordia John Molson, and there are now some entrepreneurial sort of curriculum at university.
Yeah.
When I was at university in the late 90s, that did not exist.
Right.
And so that was never taught to us women, right? It was never taught to us, like you could actually go into venture and build something from scratch and like raise money. And like that was never taught, right? But I remembered that when I was, within tech companies, whether it be Matrox or Clemex, I was always frustrated that it was never going fast enough for me. And even though I was successful, I was earning good money, but I always thought it was too slow. And so when I created my own businesses, that allowed me to go as fast as I wanted to. And I got to a point where I realized that my only break to my velocity or my desired velocity was money. It was capital.
Wow. That's very insightful. I mean, on two fronts. I think the first is how powerful it is to be an entrepreneur in terms of being able to change things and create things and improve processes and be creative. I mean, there's just so many incredible characteristics and things that it allows us to achieve. And secondly, the role that money plays in the process and then solving for how to improve that process for women.
No doubt. Capital, certainly in the business world, capital is key. There's two ways to get capital. Either, you bootstrap and you get to a point where you're generating enough revenue and profits that you can reinvest.
Yeah.
And another great way is to go raise money, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we talk a lot about how money is power.
Yeah.
And you're talking about it at like, I don't know if it's a higher level, but certainly at the more kind of institutional, corporate level, money is also power.
True. And also, I speak of it also as an ex-entrepreneur, now funding entrepreneurs. So to me, that's key as well. And I think you make a great distinction about what my job entails is that I sort of have two clients, right? I have the institutional investors that are my LPs, that's limited partners. That's the only investors that, pour millions into my fund for me to be able then to redeploy this money. And my second client is my founder, right?
Yeah.
I'm there to help them create value and to help them succeed. And so really there's sort of two polar opposites, but I have to manage both well because one without the other does not exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's amazing. And like you say, there's so much room to improve and to take what you're doing. And I mean, is it one of the first funds that exists like its kind in Quebec?
In Quebec, definitely the only one. In Canada, there are a few others, and I'd like to name them because we collaborate well. One of them is BDC Thrive Fund, which is, I believe, is $500 million for female entrepreneurs. There's Stand Up Ventures, the 51. There's Sandpiper. But what's exceptional, or what I'm most proud of by having raised $60 million for this fund, is that it's sort of a record-breaking first-time fund amount. That's all sectors, all confounded. So not just for a female fund, it's a first-time fund, altogether. That's one of the record-breaking amounts for a first fund. So I'm super proud of that. So it's not just because we're women that we raised less. We actually raised more than all the other guys doing their first fund. So I'm kind of proud of that.
Good. And you should be. Yeah. And I like your point, because I think, in this space, we are a team, right? All of us that are trying to improve, create, enhance financial awareness, financial capacity, financial success. For women in generally, we're all on the same team.
And we have to be on the same team, because the guys, I find, have been on the same team for, centuries. And for us, it's sort of a new sport for us women to be savvy at investment, whether it's for ourselves or into other types of asset classes. I was having a lunch yesterday with a lovely lady who was telling me, I love investing in the private asset class, but nobody else knows it actually exists, And so I think we need to help one another out, both in terms of knowledge, but also in terms of sometimes syndicating deals, so that we can get that money out there and create those performance,
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think working as a team allows, there's so many ways. Obviously, I work at the end of trying to just educate, empower women around knowing what their financial situation is, right? And further down that spectrum is private investment. And it is really interesting. And the goal is that we're all participating in an informed and successful way across the spectrum. So
there you go. And when that happens, I think that the entire society benefits from it.
Oh, yes.
Because it's well known that women tend to invest wisely and or use, profits from investment wisely as well. We're good at philanthropy. So there's so much more we could do if we only were more involved into investing, period, because then the rewards is not just for us, it's for entire communities.
Yes. And I also want to point out that as women, the taboo around money, first of all, we haven't had the independence and ability to really interact with money for that long, right? It's like the 70s that we could.
It's very new.
It's still very new and still quite taboo. And we talked about the book Strangers, so I'm going to bring it up right away to say that it's such a good example of a very common experience, circumstance that still exists.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I'm just going to name the book by Belle Burden.
Yeah.
It was sort of transformational for me even just to read it. And essentially, it's a lawyer who is married, who stays home. And in the end, she does get a divorce. And it's complicated because she wasn't on top of her financial affairs enough. She ends up being fine. But what that teaches us is that none of us are immune to maybe, some financial strains. And so the only way
and surprises in our lives that we could not foresee, that we would never guess. Yeah.
So I think we have to get better at that collectively. I think there's something really exciting too that's coming, and I think more and more firms are realizing that is that there's going to be a generational wealth transfer.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about this because it's literally in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be trillions of dollars transferring into the hands of women. And why? One of the reasons it's actually quite funny is that women outlive men. And so women who are married to wealthy men will inherit and will become, the sort of fiduciaries of this wealth. In the same time, the same token, women are accumulating more wealth because they're more educated. Now they've entered the workforce. They're earning good money. They're doing their own investments. So this is happening at the same time. Yeah. So I always tell investment firms, if you think about this now, you will put things into place to attract those women who will have those trillions of dollars soon.
100%. And what I like to say to women is, let's not wait.
Yes.
Like, don't wait until you don't even now. Exactly know what you're going to do with it. It's a phenomenon that I was discussing recently with a man who's part of a group of people. It ends up being many men, but a group of people who help each other learn what to do with wealth once they come into a large amount of wealth. And it's not easy for anyone. So the earlier we can start to feel comfortable, to get educated, to know what our options are, to discuss it more freely and openly, the better we'll all do. And the more prepared we'll be.
I think it comes back to what you said before. We need to stop this taboo.
Yes.
Talking about money is not taboo. It's healthy.
Yeah.
And
it's so important.
And to be educated about this is good for us and for our families and for, everybody or anybody that we can influence this way.
Yeah.
And
for society and the world.
There you go. Yeah. Because we know we will manage this money well and we will reinvest it into the community. So I think, to my fellow sisters and friends and daughters, let's stop this money taboo right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And what's so exciting about what you're doing is not only are you working to get the capital into female founders' hands, but you are seeing all these exciting companies and ideas that are out there, and you're helping these founders kind of bring their ideas and help them succeed. So let's talk about your day-to-day.
Yeah. So my day-to-day, like I said, I have sort of two hats. One of them is managing my firm.
Yes.
I have a partner, Christine Beaubien. We co-manage the firm. But that in it by itself, it's 7 people. And it's a lot of reporting to the LPs, to the institutional investors. So that in itself is almost a full-time job. And my other full-time job is to invest in those amazing companies, is to find them, to foster them, to develop relationships with them. And I'm just going to name one today. And there's so many that are doing well, Omi Labs, LE Health. But I want to talk to you about Haylist because 2 years ago, Vicky Boudreau, she's a wonderful entrepreneur. She came to see me and she had this idea to connect brands with nano influencers. And she said, this is the future of influencer marketing. And I said, I get it. I'll fund you. We'll make this happen. And we helped her raise, we actually led her round of 1.5 million. But back then it was so hard to find other investors who got it. So thankfully, Investissement Québec was there and there were a few amazing angel investors that saw what I saw. And, she oversubscribed that round, but she had to be scrappy about it. It was tough. And funny enough, we're 2 years later, and the valuation on her company has doubled. She has tripled her sales. Now she has customers, marquee customers everywhere in North America, perhaps maybe now even Europe. And now everybody wants to fund her. So I think the lesson there is that if we hadn't had this at Accelia, this sort of filter that we want to invest in female founders, maybe Vicky would have never got her first pre-seed round done. And so, but today, obviously, she's creating value. She already has, customers outside of Quebec and Canada. So obviously, and she's definitely found her product market fit. So this is an example of success that I like to tell, just because it also goes with the fact that 2 years ago, it was hard for her to get that round together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think I've heard her speak.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's such a great speaker. Yeah, and it's such a great idea. She's inspiring.
Yeah.
So what are the characteristics, like when you first met her, what did you see in her? What do you look for in founders?
So it's always grit. And she had that in spades, she had a ton of it. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, you can have the best idea and the greatest technology in the world, but you have to find someone to buy it.
Yes.
You're not a business until, you've had your first customer actually pay money to buy your technology or your product. And what I saw in Vicky was just a savviness. And it's the same, I would say, with, and I'm going to name a few, Marina at Ellie and Rachel at Omi. It's just a sort of grit that will make it work no matter what, and we'll figure it out. And they do. So it's really amazing to see.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So how many founders, walk me through what's your filtering process?
Okay, so our first filter obviously is, female-owned or led.
Yeah.
So that's our first filter. And just to give you an idea of numbers, we see about 150 companies per trimester.
Wow.
Out of that, we'll invest in one or two.
Wow.
And so as a team, and I will not say I here because it's truly a team effort at Accelia, between the 7 wonderful people that were within our firm, our job is to get fast at funneling this.
Yeah.
So out of the 150, which 10 are we going to spend time on to invest in one or two? And so I think that the bulk of our success or the bulk of our hard work is really that funnel. It's taking those 150 and saying, okay, we're going to spend time on those 10 because, we see an interesting product, we see attraction, we see a global potential market. And then the due diligence starts. And then there's a few more that are not going to work out because maybe their corporate structure just doesn't work for, accepting venture capital. Or sometimes it's just that maybe some of the customers they thought they were going to sign aren't signed yet. So we need to postpone the investment until those customers or this early traction is actually proven.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of reasons. But really, at the end of the day, we back people. This is what we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to make those decisions? Like, is it more of like a rational, you're filling out a spreadsheet? Or what role does like your gut, your instinct play?
So I love this question because we actually hosted founder dinner a few weeks ago. And what was so exciting about, putting those founders together is that the interconnections sparked so many more, business relationships among themselves. And it was beautiful to see. And I gave a short speech at that dinner where I said, great ideas never came out of spreadsheets. Great ideas come from hard work and late nights and tough pivots and constant problem solving.
Yeah.
And I would say it's the same thing about investing. Yes, we have spreadsheets. It's part of our job. We need to analyze cap tables and, potential exits and whatnot. But what I've learned in the line of work that I do is that most of the time, success will not come out of what we predicted, very rarely. And, it's always the exciting pivot or the next idea that's going to make this company successful. So that's why you have to believe in the people, because you have to believe that they'll go through those, roller coasters, which is entrepreneurial or endeavors, but that they'll stick to it and that they'll find their magic moment at some point.
I mean, you're reminding me of your own story when you talk about not necessarily knowing, what you were going to do next if you look back.
Oh, for sure.
To think that you'd be where you are today.
And
yeah.
You're correct, because it's funny because I have really good lawyer friends. I have really good doctor friends. Their path was much more linear than mine.
Yes.
And when I look at mine, it's very curvy, but I still got here.
Yeah.
And so I think there's no one way to do things. But I think that if you want to be successful, you have to show adaptability,
yes,
humility at times too, but you also have to be ambitious.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, 100%. I think the adaptability point, and having resilience and grit, that's all.
It's all interconnected, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you get, if you had to give someone advice on how to get better at making decisions quickly, instinctually, is there anything you would say to people? Because that's a really phenomenal skill. And I think, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I think it is not uncommon for women in a perfectionistic kind of lens or world.
We're good at that.
To want to analyze everything before we make a decision and to make sure that we're going to be 100% right. I know when I was young in elementary school, I would only raise my hand in class if I was 100% sure my answer was right.
Right.
And over time, I got more comfortable taking risks and maybe getting it wrong sometimes. I still I can't even say it out loud. But it's so important to get comfortable with
risk.
With risk.
For sure.
Yes.
That's the idea. And so there's one thing that I love to say is that perfection is the enemy of greatness. And perfection does not allow you velocity, because like you just said so well, you overanalyze things, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying to be a cowboy about everything in life. That's not the idea. You still have to make informed decisions. You still have to try to get as much information as you can before you make that decision. But if you never take risk, there's never any rewards. And if you overanalyze things, you might miss on the opportunity that's in front of you right now.
Yes.
And so at one point, you just have to decide. And guess what? Either way, whatever you choose will not be perfect.
Right.
There's no such thing as a perfect choice or perfect, path.
Yeah.
And you might make some mistakes along the way, but eventually, because of experience and because you have taken those risks, you will find the path that has the biggest reward. But if you don't try, it will not work. And so I think that there is certainly a case to be made about women taking more risks and accepting that failure is not the end of the world. It's just a hurdle.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. I love so much of what you just said. I feel like I need a sign in my office. Although these are things that I say to myself very often. But
I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So would you say that you've gotten better at it? Like it's also must be something like a skill that you hone with experience. You learn to trust yourself or hear maybe yourself more.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, my job makes me better at this. I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think, and maybe I've realized that just in recent years, I think I was always a bit more risk prone rather than risk averse without realizing it.
Yes.
When I was 19 years old, I was in Cégep Sainte-Foy in Quebec City, and I had the opportunity to go swim for Pepperdine University. Well, I left. I just did it, right?
Wow.
And loved every bit of it. And people often tell me, wow, it must have taken you so much courage. You didn't even speak English then. I'm like, no, I just wanted to do it. Like for me, it wasn't even like an option not to want to go if I was offered the opportunity. So
I think so good.
I think I've always been that way, but I think now I realize that it's not everybody is built the same way, and that's fine too. I think you just have to find your own comfort level with your own risk appetite.
Oh, so good. Yes. Yes. And how, like in thinking about risk, how do you connect that with long-term success, right? So I guess part of it is this idea of grit, right? And this idea of looking for the characteristics that will help you to know that this person won't give up when faced with a hurdle.
Yeah.
Are there questions that you ask people to try to kind of tap in to that? Or, like, is it, how can you tell?
Well, yeah, because the question that you can ask is, what got you here? I mean, you asked me this question when I sat down here, what got you here, right? And so the founder who will tell me that, she hopes to be EBITDA positive next year and that, she's going to hire 3 people to do so and that she's going to raise, a small amount of money to get there. I know it's never going to be enough. You need to have the ambition, but then you need to paint the real picture of what it is today. Because some founders also overshoot or paint a different picture than where they are at. And unfortunately, when you get into due deal, that doesn't just add up. And so we want the ambition, but we also want some of the hurdles to already have gone through so that they know how to deal with the next one.
You know what's so interesting is, and I know this has come up in our conversations in the past, but so much of what we're talking about, like in case anyone's listening and they're like, well, I can't relate at all. I've never started my own business. I'm not looking for capital. I think so much of what we're talking about also lends itself to success in life.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
When I think about relationships, marriage, anything that we try to do, I mean, life comes with hurdles.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No doubt.
Yes. So much of what you're saying, I think we can all learn from and try to do better at so that we are comfortable taking risks, going for what we want, persevering, And
promotions is a great example. So maybe, you know, there are some women or people listening to us today that, like you said, are not entrepreneurs, but they could be entrepreneurs. And I've spoken about this at the beginning of our conversation.
So what do you mean when you say entrepreneurs?
So I mean, creating value within your own company, but also raising your hand when promotions or opportunities come your way.
Oh, yeah.
You're never going to get that promotion if you don't make it heard and known that
Yes.
you're aiming for that promotion. And, you know, we have those statistics that, you know, men will have 20% of the skills, they'll apply for it anyways, and women need 99% of the skills to apply. And so when I say, you know, take risks professionally, that's certainly one way.
Yeah.
It's just to have it heard and known. This is what I want. This is what I think I'm capable of. And next time the promotion is open, I'd like my name to be on that ballot. And if it doesn't work out, what's the worst that's really happened? Then you actually have learned what you'll need next time for this to work, and you can hone those skills along the way.
100%.
And so I think it's a win-win, whether you do it in entrepreneurship, whether you do it in, you know, investment, or whether you do it in any other facet of professional life. I think the first step is just raising your hand.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about, I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah.
Because last night I was thinking about this idea of humility.
Yeah.
And the importance that humility plays in our lives, in our characters.
Yeah.
And then I thought that juxtaposed with the need to self-promote.
Yeah.
Right? Because as women, I think it's a bit hard. I mean, I think it's harder for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is really important. And
Yep.
you must see this with founders pitching their businesses.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the importance of these two things that are kind of, you know, in tension, right?
Yep.
And I think both essential for success.
I agree. And they're not mutually exclusive.
Mm.
And that's, I think, what we don't get right
Yes.
as women, is that if you want a bigger job or the next opportunity, you need to be ambitious and you need to be a self-promoter. And this is something that I've had it's a skill that I've had to hone myself in the past few years, because the fact that we raise capital from large, institutional investors make it so that you have to be able to speak their language.
Yes.
And some of that language, not all, but some of it is politics, just because they deal with syndicates or the government, or so I've had to get better at this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that in my everyday job, I'm very humble,
Mm-hmm.
because I understand that it takes a team to do what we do. It takes super talented founders to invest into. And I don't have all the answers. I will, venture capital is capital de risque in French. It means risk, right? So
That's actually
some of the
very
choices
helpful.
I'm going to make
Yeah.
are going to fail. It's inherent to what I do.
How do you find people are doing in terms of knowing their value? Like knowing your value, I mean, in our personal lives, right? Of course, our professional lives, but you are literally seeing companies that are coming to you, pitching a value, a future projection. Talk to me a bit how you see that idea.
So we've gotten so good, and again, I'm going to involve the whole team here, at just knowing what metrics work.
Okay.
Right? So if you want a $50 million valuation, you better have either the best product that's ever been created and or already $10 million in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say on the one hand you're building something new that nobody's using yet and saying, but it's worth, crazy amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it just all have to make sense. At the same time, I often tell entrepreneurs that I wish I knew when I was a founder what I know today. Because today I just have the merit of perspective, because we see so many companies and we know which types of companies we invest in. If I had known what I know today, I would have been way better at certainly pitching VCs.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes perspective definitely just helps that decision-making process. And having a great team to help you do it, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you have any mentors who were key in helping? I mean, you saw the opportunity for Accelia.
Yeah.
And then you went to create it.
Yes.
And then you blew it out of the water.
It sounds that simple. It wasn't.
Nothing ever is.
Okay, so one of my earliest hurdles when I wanted to create Accelia was that I was known in the entrepreneurial world and not at all in the financial world.
Oh, interesting.
And that was tough because I was talking about raising multi-million dollars, and people were like, "Who is she? What has she done?" Right? And so one of the mentors that I found was Monique Leroux.
Mm-hmm.
She used to be the CEO of Mouvement Desjardins, one of the first female CEO of any banks anywhere in the world, financial institution. And when I met her, I said, this is where I want to go with this thing. It was still very raw in terms of idea. And she said, I get it, and I'll help open doors for you. And she actually did. And so I found myself a champion,
Wow.
Not just a mentor, a champion, somebody who said, fine, I'll take that risk with you. And there's no doubt that the fundraising success that we've had at Accelia is, in part owed to her and to her connections that she put at the service of this cause that we were trying to do and get together. And so certainly, and then there's been men also who have been amazing.
Yeah.
The Jean-Guy Desjardins of this world, the Jacques Bernier, and so many more. And I always say we also need the men to be in our corner, because
100%.
the idea is just to create parity where we're gonna just all be more performing in our jobs, more performing in our investments, and just create wealth for everyone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 100%. And I think that, I love that point. First of all, the difference between a mentor and a champion, I think that's an important thing to highlight, because it really is a champion.
Yeah.
It's like, I use the word mentor maybe when I could be using the word champion because it's quite different, right? And I imagine that some of the founders you're meeting today, the ones that you invest in, do you act as champion? What's your role within the companies that you're investing in? Okay,
so first thing is sign a check, right? And I'm going to talk just a bit about, mentorship, because we're on that topic.
Yeah.
And, networking and all that stuff. That's great. We all need that. But I think as a founder, I was sick and tired of all the opportunities of mentorship and, networking. And I'm like, can I just get the check? Because the guys are getting the checks. Yeah. And then I'll get the networking and the mentorship. And so at Accelia, the first thing that we do as champions is sign the check, because if you want to compete on a global stage, you first need the capital. And that goes back to the earlier conversation. So we start with a check. And then we often take board seats on the companies that we finance. And I always say, as a board member, what I try to be is, how can I help without being a nuisance? Because I'm here to help you create value, to create connections and introduce customers. I remember when I was a founder, I said the best thing my investors can do for me is just find me clients.
Yeah.
Find me contracts.
Yeah.
I'll be happy with you.
Yeah.
So I try to do that. I try to approach it in the way that, what would I have needed when I was a founder? But sometimes we have also to take tough decisions. When things aren't working well, we have to act as well, because we are fiduciary of public dollars in many cases, either from, Investissement Québec, or from the Fonds Solidarité FTQ, or from Fonds d'Action.
Yeah.
And we have to be respectful that those dollars are coming from people with jobs that are enabling us to do our jobs. And, when I was talking about humility before, that's also part of it. Just remembering who has trusted you with those dollars.
I can relate.
Yeah, for sure.
I can relate. And so this idea of men being able to champion us, and I love that too, because that's also been my experience. And I think it is at the same time so important that we support one another, that we have communities and champions, within women, because that doesn't always happen, or historically didn't always happen so naturally.
That's very
but
true.
To make sure that we're supporting each other and that it doesn't feel like we're only saying what we're saying, or that we're not only cooperating kind of within communities of women. That's what we want. That's what we want for the future.
I've often said I feel that sometimes women work so hard to get to this decision-making table that once they get there, they don't make any room for the next generation of women. And that's really sad, because if we look at, boards today, even public boards, women are still underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes when I do speeches, I've had the opportunity to speak at the McGill Dobson Center. I say, okay, the women in the room now, you guys are all successful. You guys are all at the decision-making table. But are you promoting and championing women within your own organizations? That's the next step.
Yeah.
It's not enough to do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to foster and promote and trust the next generation of women to be able to take their rightful spots in those big boards that we have, or on those big, management committees within big companies. We need to make that room for the next generation of women. It's not enough just for us to get there.
I completely agree. I think we're seeing progress, would you say? And at the same time, I want to ask you, what, because I don't know the answer to this, but why is it that it may be harder for women to naturally support? Why is it that it could be seen as a threat to have other women who are successful or, rising through the ranks? Is there a reason that you're aware of that it's been easier, or it is easier, that these boys clubs kind of can naturally exist? Is it maybe the scarcity mindset because there have been fewer women in the room?
I think it's all of those things. I think it might just be also DNA that we've had to fight for, for partners and because not so long ago, we didn't even have the right to open a bank account without a husband's signature. So to be secure financially, you had to have a husband. It's crazy you think about it, right? And that was not that long ago, maybe 50 years ago. And so, once we got that freedom, we wanted to, or maybe our mothers or aunts wanted to own or earn or, keep that freedom to themselves.
Yeah.
And it might be part of the answer. I think for sure scarcity, but there's no reason, because women are 50 to 51% of the population. We have 40 million people in Canada. Boards are 10 to 12 people. Don't tell me you can't find 6 amazingly qualified women for those roles. And so I think we're part of both the problem and the solution. Yeah.
Love this. So you're making me think of a question which I don't think we've discussed before, but maybe we have. And that is, do you ever feel like, because you're focusing on female founders or female-led businesses, that you are somehow not getting access? Your pool of potential success is smaller or more restricted?
Nope.
Right.
I don't. And that was the thing when we started fundraising Accelia it's already 6 years now ago. We were told, are you sure you're going to have the deal flow? Funny enough, when you look for them, you find them.
Yeah.
And so now we have, we've completed 16 transactions in our portfolio, 2 exits. So now we have 14 active ones. We're probably going to add 4 or 5 more till the end of the year. So I don't buy that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm we're proof that this is not true.
Yeah.
And so,
because I think that's always the argument.
Yeah.
Right?
It always was. We
just want the best.
Yeah. And the women are not there. We tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't try hard enough.
Yeah. I think that in the end, what you're doing is what's necessary to truly shift the dynamic in that questioning or that line of thinking.
There's no reason anymore. And actually what we're trying to do also at Accelia is to prove that because we invest in diversity, that we're going to get better performance because of it.
Yes.
We're still in the early days of the fund. We're year 5. We're starting to see some amazing stories. I just named a few earlier. So I think we're going to be able to achieve that. And what's great is that all the other funds, most of them anyways, their only thesis is, I'm going to bring you back money. I'm saying, I'm going to bring you back money and we're going to do good doing so.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And to that point, when you think of more capital getting into the hands of women or female-owned, founded, led businesses, how do you see the difference? Like when you think about the impact that you're creating, how do you see that practically speaking in society? What improves?
So first of all, those female founders we invest in are super savvy with their money. They make that capital last and they know how to manage it until the next round. And I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen so far. And again, I don't want to generalize because we have amazing male founders who do the same.
Yes,
we just don't want to generalize. The other thing is I love the fact that the amazing female founders that we've champion here at Accelia are sort of paying it forward already, by doing, talks and speeches about, telling the young women who might have never thought about, launching a business, to just go for it.
Yeah.
And so we're creating new models. And I think the whole idea here is to create a flywheel, right? And so if I'm a woman investing in more women, those women will have successful exits. They will become wealthy. They will invest in the next generation of women who will. So then the flywheel starts turning faster and faster. And that's how we create more wealth. And everybody wins.
Yes. And you're making me think of 2 points. One, which is, I think women interact more with money and have more financial knowledge than they even realize. Like the way that we traditionally think of financial knowledge or finance doesn't necessarily account for the day-to-day thinking about money and how similar or useful just what we're already doing is to take to the next level and come up with an idea and start a business. Like entrepreneurship is much more accessible, I think, than we might traditionally imagine as women?
For sure. First of all, I think there's never ever been so much capital available for women entrepreneurs who want to start. And venture capital might not be, the right answer for all types of businesses. Venture capital is very specific. It has to be tech. It has to be global market. But banks now have, amazing programs for female entrepreneurs. We have the National Bank here sponsoring Accelia. And so I think that capital is available. So for the ones that do want to start a business, I think it's easier than ever, for sure. Yeah.
Annick, you come across as someone who is managing your time and all of your obligations and responsibilities with a certain level of ease. Yet I know that it is a major deal what you're doing in general and on a day-to-day basis. Could you describe a little, how do you structure your day? What are some of the things that make up your daily schedule?
Yeah, so gladly. I would say I wake up early. I'm an early riser, 6:30. And the first thing I do is work out, whether it's on the bike or a run or just, some lifting. I think that's important, because I like to get it out of the way early in the day. But also because it sort of fuels me for the rest of the day in terms of energy.
Yeah.
So I'll get to the office maybe 8:30 or 9, and I try to tackle what's important, what will take brain cells sort of in the morning, because that's where I'm at my best. And so the first, few hours from 9 to 11, I try to just make it like not meetings, but just really tackle important tasks.
Mm-hmm.
In the afternoon, I try to see as many founders as I can because that's my job. That's how, that's what I'm paid for. And so I line up those meetings.
Like how many meetings with founders could you have in an afternoon?
So in an afternoon, from 1 to 3 maybe. And we have an entire team that does the same. And so I think when I see them is that's when we think there's something there that might be interesting for us.
Mm-hmm. Right, because you're not meeting with every founder whose deck you see.
No, we can't, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see the most pertinent ones for our thesis.
Yeah.
But what I do is that for the ones that I have, financed, I'm available 24/7. And so they call me, I pick up the phone because that's my most important relationships professionally.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you about my recent vacation in Punta Cana where we got a term sheet day 1 of my vacation. So I ended up working from Monday through the Sunday, a few hours at a time. But that's the commitment I have towards the people that I fund. And I'll try to keep the admin, the lower intensity stuff towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
And most often, and my daughters will testify to this, I have cocktails at night to go to, event networking. And that's also important. You have to show up for that as well.
Yeah.
And at night, I like to read at least half an hour every night, not screens, real actual paper books.
Yeah.
I love to take a warm bath, have a healthy dinner, and do it all over again the next day.
Wow. And I just want to double click on one of the things you were talking about in asking you, as far as how long you use for each of your tasks.
Yeah.
How do you determine and how difficult is it to change from one meeting to another meeting, from one task to another? Do you have any tricks in terms of keeping up the pace?
I do it very quickly. And so to answer your question, and it's an interesting question, I separate my day by 30 minutes. And so it's sort of like 30-minute blocks. And so, admin work is 30 minutes, but talking to founders, 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I find that sort of breaks it down into more manageable tasks.
Yeah.
Same for workout. You can get a great workout in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's better if you have an hour, but if you're going to
Absolutely
do anything, do 30 minutes, right? And so 30 minutes work really well for me because I find it's enough to get things done, but it's not long enough that you don't want to get to it. So even the unfortunate tasks that you have to do, like in my case, reporting or admin work, it has to get done. So in 30-minute increments, that works well for me.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it also makes you focus.
It makes you focus.
It can go really quickly.
Minutes.
Yeah.
And when it comes time to declutter at home or whatnot, I actually put a timer so that it just gets done, right?
Yeah.
And so 30 minutes, but I can switch really, really fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
I know that the last time we had this conversation, you gave me a lot of food for thought in terms of just scheduling my day somewhat more succinctly because, as we all know, I like to talk. So.
But I've found that even within my team, when they say, we have weekly team meetings at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and I say no more than an hour.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, it's too fast. We have too much to cover. It's an hour and we'll get it done. And whatever we can't get done means that it's just not within our priorities. It doesn't mean that we can't talk about it offline, but that's the limit. And you'd be amazed what you can accomplish in actually half an hour most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if everyone's coming to the meeting prepared. I think that's another piece, right?
Very true.
It does put pressure on those around you and who you're working with to know that this is how much of your time that they're getting.
No doubt. And if we can't solve something in 5 minutes, then it should be part of a team meeting. It should be, set separately as an offline other meeting. But again, if you can break this down, you never get sort of that fatigue. So at the end of the day, you've created some space for everything that's important. And what's not important does not get overdue time.
And just to go a little further, how do you deal with the work that comes from the meetings?
I delegate really, really well.
Yeah.
Again, if it's something that I can't tackle in half an hour, then it means that somebody else has to help me do it. Mm-hmm. Somebody within the team that has just a bit more time than I do.
Yeah.
Because I have all those managerial also responsibilities that take time.
Yeah.
I can't do everything else that my team is doing. And so that's where delegation is super important. And then, and for the younger generation that's just entering the workforce, then it's really prioritizing what is going to create an impact in your job, which tasks are most important so that A, you shine, and B, that your competence is acknowledged because you're spending your time on the right things.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you have very good leadership managerial skills in addition to obviously everything you need to be doing what you're doing.
Thank you for saying that. You'd have to ask my team, but I hope they think so.
No, but it's true that being able to delegate and empower and create a great team to support you or to work with is key.
It's empowering them, and that's liberating me. So everybody wins, right?
Yeah.
If the more junior employees have tasks to deal with by themselves, with always oversight, of course, that empowers them. And next time they'll be able to take on more. And meanwhile, those tasks I don't have to take care of, so I can concentrate on the stuff that matters, such as fundraising my next fund.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure it enhances engagement.
Oh, no doubt. I see it in their eyes of our younger teammates, that they feel the responsibility and that they acknowledge it and that they enjoy it. So I think for managers out there, that part's really important.
Yes. And I think we've discussed this before, but it's a challenge in itself, creating a team and managing a team.
No doubt. There's different personalities, there's different needs, there's different capabilities. And so you have to, I always say, I play to the strength of my teammates. And so if you're great at developing, I'm not going to put you in an Excel spreadsheet all day. You'll be miserable. But some people aren't so good at connecting with other people. They're fantastic in Excel spreadsheets. Yeah. And so you just sort of lean into people's strength. And it's amazing how it just it's exponential.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal piece of advice for all leaders. And it's not as easy as it sounds because it takes getting to know your team in a deeper way and not just having a job description and then expecting the next person that you hire to fill it.
It comes back to, I think, having humility or some form of it, accepting that as a manager, you're also there to serve your employees and to advance their careers, not just yours.
Yeah. And I think what helps is identifying it in ourselves.
Yes.
Right? Like, I now am a lot more familiar with my strengths and the things that I could use more help on or improvement. And being surrounded by people who have different strengths is, I mean, like you said, it's such a wonderfully beneficial thing for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are all the things that I could do, right? Yeah. What's important to me and what nourishes me is about this, and what I want to achieve is here. Yeah. And so you take all of that up there and you say, what's important? What's good to me? And then what is it that I want to do with it?
Yes.
And so that implies saying no to a lot of things. And I know that's hard. It's still hard for me, by the way. I don't have this down at all, but I've certainly gotten better at it. Because we only have a pool of so much energy, and I think you and I have tons. Yes. Maybe we're just on the, some
definitely
part
on the high energy
on that in terms of high energy, but it's still finite, right? Yeah. And we have to replenish. And so, and I've had, for example, there was a big investment meeting from one of our big LPs. It was an evening I was supposed to go to, and I was actually looking forward to it. And at the same time, it was my best friend's birthday dinner, and my best friend had just separated recently. So I just decided to prioritize. I just decided to go where mattered most to me. And so, I missed a big, investor LP event. But my soul was fed by that dinner that we went to together with other wonderful women. And so that's kind of prioritizing also not just what advances your career, but what also nourishes you and how you take care of people around you. Because at one point when you will be down, you want your family and friends to be there for you. But for that, you have to create room and space for them as well. And most importantly, you have to create space for yourself.
Oh,
and
I love it.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
But sometimes that implies on Wednesday mornings to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, to be on my bike at 7 at MA.
It sure does. It sure does. And I could relate to that too.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know, like, were you always so good at knowing? Because part of being able to prioritize is being able to know what your values are and what your priority is. Yeah. And the should voice, or like the, you know, what would other people expect from, like, all the competing interests or competing priorities that could exist can take away from us being able to tell our personal ones.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Is it something that you were always good at, or is that something that you've gotten better at over time?
No, I think it comes to, no, it's certainly a learned skill. There's no doubt about that. At the same time, I would sort of go in the same line as the imposter syndrome. You know, people ask me often, do you just not have the imposter syndrome? I'm like, no, I have it. I just get over it.
Yes.
And it's the same thing for wanting to please, right? Of course, I want to please everybody. I can't. I know that. And so I'm going to have to choose whom I please, and whom I please is the people that matter around me and the causes that I want to give my time to.
Yes.
And the rest, unfortunately, has to fit in the maybe. And the maybe sometimes becomes a no.
Yeah. You're making me think that often my kids, this is a funny thing, but sometimes my kids ask me a question and I say maybe.
Yeah.
Right? And I have been with other mothers and kids where the kids say, whenever my mother says maybe, it's always yes. And my kids are like, no, it's usually or often
she actually means
no.
But
sometimes I want to see, right? But I think that's very, very interesting, because all these tendencies that we have that are hard.
Yes.
The people pleasing, the not wanting to disappoint, the setting boundaries, the imposter syndrome. I love your point that the idea is not for them to not exist.
Right. Because it will, right? It's in it. So you just have to get over it.
And it's also part of the growth and the risk taking. And I mean, there is no way to, and I think that our abilities and our needs, our priorities evolve. Like I was saying to you before, I am consistently having to kind of push back or reevaluate all of these things in order to get closer and closer to what feels like my priorities, or what feels like is most feeding, nourishing me. And I know you must be in a very similar situation.
For sure. And it's constantly evolving. So it's okay not to get it right the first time. I mean, there are some weeks, this is one of the weeks where I'm like, how am I going to get it all done? And so we do get stretched, even with the best of intentions. The idea is just to say, yes, I want to please, but I'm not going to be able to achieve that. Yeah. And so where do I go from there? What's important to me?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that once we have erred on the side of pleasing and felt kind of the disappointment we end up feeling in ourselves.
That's so well said.
Right?
Yeah.
In the longer term, let's say, then it helps us not do it
again and again and again.
At
one point you learn, right?
Yeah.
It takes time sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's not easy because I think, because we are mothers and daughters and we want to be there. We're nurturers, right? That's what we do as women. So we want to be there for everybody. But again, we can't. So once we accept that, you get over it.
And I love that you just said as mothers, because I know you have 2 girls.
Yes.
And they're amazing girls. And I love to hear about your mothering. How do you think about that, like in terms of your full picture?
Yeah.
I guess both juggling, but also the example you're setting and the way that you're impacting the world.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not sure they see that. I mean, that's the reality of being a mom, right? You're just the mom. Right? Can you drive me somewhere, right? Okay, you're saving the world. Great. But I need money to go, to the movies or whatnot. And so I try to lead by example. I cannot be always there for them in terms of time because my plate is full, but I certainly try to be there for the meaningful moments, small and big, right? And it's funny because I do talk about money with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get accused of being somebody who, cares only about that, which is absolutely not the case. But I think, again, if I want to project the fact to every woman that we need to stop the taboo around money, I need to be able to talk to my own daughters about money. And for me, it's just about being knowledgeable about, earning your life, education, and just having the ability to pay your own bills. Yeah.
Yeah. Like taking it as a hint because I find my daughters keep coming home with new business ideas.
Yeah.
Which I think is like adorable. Except I'm like, first year homework.
Voila. Exactly.
So what would you say to women who aren't as comfortable as you and I yet talking about money, who still might be intimidated or feel like it's completely out of their comfort zone?
Okay, it's not. It's really not. And if you think about money, really, it's just aligning, pluses and minuses, and that anybody can do, right?
Yeah.
Even like a kindergarten kid,
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to what you were saying before, having the confidence that you probably already know more than you think you do.
Yeah.
And then it's just educating yourself. And there's so many ways to do that. And you don't have to do a PhD in economics to make that happen. It could just be about, listening to podcasts, going to conferences or seminars. It could be just, if you're starting your professional life, it would be just to sit down with not just one advisor, but maybe one or two or three to hear their story and to find out what their strategy is. And at one point you will find your own sort of product market fit about works for you.
Yes.
You might have, like, I'm tolerant to risk. So I've always loved growth. I'm an investor in my own fund, but that's me. For somebody else, it might just be bonds that they're interested in, and that's fine. But at least know what bonds are.
Yes, and know what you're leaving on the table if you're only investing in bonds.
Exactly. Yes, that's very true. But what I'm saying is that you should start by at least knowing what bonds are.
100% and asking questions.
Yes.
And even AI now, it makes it like...
For sure. No doubt.
Yeah.
There's ways to educate ourselves. And I think just getting a minimum knowledge about how to manage your own finances will take you a long way.
A long way.
I agree.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So what do you hope for women in like next generations from a financial perspective?
So I'm already seeing it. So it's super, motivating because I see that some of the hurdles that I've had as a woman in tech, as a woman in investment, as a woman in entrepreneurship, are sort of slowly dissolving for women. I find that also younger men are helping as well. I think now they're sharing more of the responsibilities at home.
Yeah.
They're taking paternity leave. So I think that the bias against women taking maternity leave is not so strong anymore, which it definitely was in my time.
Me too.
And I think it's just for the better good. So when we see the results happening from either, from women, from men, from whomever has success in life and that's creating value around their communities, what's not to love?
100%. I completely agree. And I don't want to leave without asking you also, what would you say to women who still underestimate themselves when it comes to leadership or decision making? Whether it's figuring out their priorities or running a business, choosing founders.
So I would say just get over it.
Yeah.
Just like I was saying before about the imposter syndrome, you will feel it.
Yeah.
It's not that it won't exist, but you have to get over that hurdle, because what can come after in terms of success, in terms of career progression, in terms of accumulating wealth is so worth it.
Yeah.
And so I think, and I don't want to leave especially a young generation of women thinking that it's easy to do that. It's not.
No.
You will feel, sometimes that you don't belong in the room, which is the title of the podcast today. I've felt that many times over, but then I told myself, whether it'd be like raising capital or being, on a big, important public, the board of a big public company, is to say, well, there must be a reason I'm here. And so there must be at least one person in this room who thinks that I belong, and I need to be that first person.
I love that very much. I'll never forget when I went to my first finance event after being in law and thinking there weren't an equal amount of women in law, and certainly not in the highest positions as partners, etc. And then I went to my first finance event and I looked around the room, and it was as if there was like one woman per group, per table. And c'était effrayant. I mean, two things. One, I was like, wow, this is really, there's so much more room for improvement. And two, I mean, I guess it's that feeling of, well, I can make a big difference. And I think, to your point, the discomfort, the fear, the all of that, all of those hard feelings, just working on the muscle that makes you able to move forward, to get in the room despite them, it's the whole thing. Even last night, my daughter went to bed very late, was very nervous about a presentation. And all I said to her was, by the way, this is life. Like, this, things not being exactly what you expect or what's comfortable or what you hope for is what you need to get comfortable with in order to succeed.
No doubt. I mean, I think I can say that every time that I've chosen to get out of my comfort zone, I'm happy I did it. Did I fall on my face a few times? Yes. But in hindsight today, I'm like, those failures had to exist for a reason because they brought me here.
Yeah.
Without that failure, my path would have been different.
Yeah.
And so I think the only hurdle really is ourselves.
Oh, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. Annick, I'm so thrilled to be having this conversation with you. I'm so thrilled every time we have conversations.
Same here.
I'm curious if there's anything you think we haven't covered that you would want to leave women and men with, either about venture capital, about investing in women, or just about pushing ourselves to get out of our own way.
Yeah, I think what I'd love to tell everyone is that everything is possible. Oh. You just have to believe it and to be willing to put the work and to not stop yourself thinking that you deserve this, that you belong in the room.
Yes. This was such a fun conversation, Annick. I'm so grateful to have had it with you. And some of the key moments that I won't soon forget included when you said that women don't only need mentorship, they need the check. The importance of money and the importance of being comfortable knowing that we need money and the power of it. I love that. Capital determines what gets built. So who controls it and what we do with it, super important. And you learn quickly what nourishes you and what drains you. That is a superpower. I hope everybody appreciated the conversation today about capital and power, financial participation, and the confidence that comes through action. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. If this conversation resonated, please feel free to share it with someone you know would benefit. And if you subscribe or follow the podcast, then you will get access to all the new episodes as they come out. Feel free to check out the website, powershipcollective.com, for more information about the symposium. Follow us on Instagram at Powership Collective. And I'm so excited to continue. Thanks for being here. You belong in the room.